find yourself, find out who you are. Once you learn who you are, then this next step is, what do you want your life to be? It does not matter if you have a child, if you're with somebody, none of that shit matters. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to love on ourselves. So how do you find out what's a man or not? You got to do research. Let's break down the lifestyle. And the man upstairs listens. The universe
Mm-hmm.
listens to us. He listens. They hear it. So when you speak it, it'll come. However, it ain't gonna be perfect. You gotta work for it. It's gonna be bumps. Women can raise young boys, but they can't raise them to be full-fledged men in certain aspects because women still react off of emotions.
This episode is sponsored by Black Label Meat. Black Label Meat only sells premium quality meat that is grass fed, grass finished, and they do regenerative grazing practices. Check them out now, blacklabelmeatcompany.com, and use the code Jesse for 10% off. All right, Junior, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, my guy?
Um,
Great to be here,
yeah, no,
brother.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we were able to make this happen. So you've been seeing some of the stuff that I've been posting on social media. You sent me a message. How can I get in the conversation?
Yeah, you be on point like Stacey Adams a lot, bro. A lot of things, roles in the
Mm-hmm.
home, for our culture, for the black culture, the father isn't in the house as the other cultures
Mm-hmm.
are. In a black culture, fathers are missing in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my generation, we are starting to become fathers more. I grew up without a father, so I didn't know the roles in the house. I didn't know how it was supposed to go. I didn't know how to make it even, so it's not just on one parent. When I grew up, that's what I seen. It was all put on my mom. My stepfathers that I had, they had jobs, but it seemed like they put all the weight on
Mm-hmm.
her. So now me being married with my wife for 2020, we just celebrated 21 on September
Oh,
11th.
nice.
And the path ain't always straight, bro.
Mm-hmm.
The thing get curvy. It goes up and down, and we've been through our ups and downs through the 21 years. And same thing with her. She grew up in a broken home. So we are starting to find out what a husband really supposed to be like and what a wife is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
You know, we have 5 children, 6 children, 5 together, and majority of them are athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of responsibilities. This is her first year being a sports mom. So now she sees what I've been going through for the last 8 years with my son playing football,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But the gender roles, we pretty much take care of it, It's funny because the kids find out who's the disciplinary and who's not,
Yeah.
who bends, who doesn't, and so we share that. We share that a lot. We share our bills. We just got a new car. I told some husbands would be like, "Well, this car is yours and you're going to pay for it." I told her I need the family to be safe.
Yeah.
I need a safe, reliable vehicle. So we went in and got this car together, and it's her car. I told her it's not mine, it's yours. I'm just a co-signer. Even though my name is on there, this is your vehicle, and the monthly payments we're going to split. I'm not gonna. We're not gonna sit here and make ourselves struggle. We're gonna split this. But you have this vehicle because I need you to be around, to get the kids if they need to, come get me if need to, if need be. But what we did was we took what we grew up with and seen what kids grow up with with friends who maybe have both parents and see how that goes. And you know, um, me being around football dads and during our time of our separation, I learned what it was like to be a husband and a father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of my good friends taught me how to be a good father and a good husband. You know, it gets stressful, bro. That's one thing it does. It does get stressful, but if both are on the same goal, if we have the same vision, similar visions, not the same vision. Sometimes people just don't have, we're two different
Yep.
people.
Yep.
But if the vision is clear and it's agreed upon of what the vision of the family is supposed to be, the stress level decreases. Bro, me and my wife, man, the kids be tripping because we'll be up late at night laughing, joking, like good friends. We just be telling each other jokes to talk about
Uh-huh.
the day. Um, we keep it we show our children what happiness looks like with two parents. All that arguing, and we let them know. Not everybody gets along. Not everybody see eye to eye. We do have arguments, but if they're healthy arguments, if they're healthy discussions, and not just bashing each other because you're mad, we're teaching our children how to disagree, but to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Kind of know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah.
about?
I feel.
You know?
Yeah. Me and my
Yeah, that was the segment, huh?
keep going.
Oh, that was the segment that grasped me, bro. When I seen you talking about that, I think it was on your last segment, and you were talking about the stress of parents in the house with the kids, and how do we separate our time from how do we make time for ourselves for each other, even though we got a crazy life, you know, with kids, school, things of that nature, work, and how do we make time for ourselves? And honestly, me and her, we don't make time for ourselves. It's all about the kids. It's all because we came from different backgrounds. We came from messed up childhoods and messed up adulthoods. Me and her, we our when we met in our in our 20s, bro, we wasn't the best. We were two damaged
Hmm.
people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it so and the older kids seen that. They seen those two damaged people trying to love each other, and it was just chaos. It was like almost like Harley Quinn and the
Hmm.
Joker. You know what I mean? It was that kind of relationship. It was crazy. It was toxic. It was very very toxic because we didn't know how to love. We didn't know what love looked like. Love looked different to me and my wife when we were growing up. Not only that, she's from a small town. She's from Silver City, New Mexico. I'm from Compton, California. So you got big city dreams, small city
Hmm.
mentality, and we always clashing because what's big to her is small to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So now since I moved up here, we're starting to balance that, bro. We're really starting to figure out like, hey, I don't like this. This is not what I don't like this. And well, I don't like this. Cool. Well, bet if you don't like it, I will figure out a way to help myself understand what you don't like and vice
Yeah.
versa. So if there's a way that I talk to you when I'm angry and you check me on it, cool. I'm in a I'm so in love with myself that I can be checked by somebody if I'm out of pocket, and vice versa with her.
No, I think that's one of the big things when it comes to love and communication is you're humble enough that when your favorite person in the whole world, your spouse, like my wife, there ain't no motherfucker that I love more than my wife. And when she checks me, I feel like because of a relationship and love for each other, I can be like, fuck, she's right. She's right.
Right,
And
right,
vice versa. Versus getting defensive because you're
yeah,
insecure. Like you said, you don't love yourself enough. Insecure person's just going to deflect and then it just goes bad. But I want to kind of go back a little bit when you were saying, sometimes you guys don't find time for each other. It's focused on the kids. But you had said that you guys stay up late just laughing. That's just you guys' time.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
our
yeah,
time.
yeah. Because I think
Yeah,
every couple, especially in this day and age, they need to make time for themselves instead of living vicariously through their kids, trying to live their life through their children. And ultimately, they end up loving their kids more than they love their spouse because they don't ever spend time like you're doing, staying up late laughing. Just those little things of spending time. Me and my wife, we do it early in the morning. I wake up at like 4 a.m. My wife wakes up at like 5:30. She does her stuff, and then we meet at like 6 o'clock to like 7 before my kids are even up, and we just hang out. Maybe we go walk around
yeah.
our block and just talk and just bullshit. Maybe we watch a little Netflix just ourselves. But I think that stuff is so important. And I'll see sports parents. It's like they don't hang out. They're just running around with their kids,
They're just there.
And it's like, man, I even have family members who three brothers literally their parents went running around to all the sports stuff and just didn't ever like focus on them and their marriage at all. Like, because don't get me wrong, I think me and you are the same mentality as we will support our children in every facet that we are capable of doing for their sports dreams. Like, I want to push him any resources, anything I need. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to put all of that in the way of my marriage. Everything, all the resources for my sons will always come second to my marriage. My marriage will be first, but After that, I'll do whatever it takes for them in their sports. Whatever it takes. I don't care.
Yeah, but for us, sports is what saved me from being a gang
Mm-hmm.
member. You know, I was a gang member when my son's age, I was already shot and stabbed. I didn't want that life for
Mm-hmm.
him. And when I met my wife, I was older when I met her in college and I was playing ball. When we sat down, she understood football is my first wife.
Mm-hmm.
You're the second wife. Football is my first wife because it saved me. I was going down a road that I wouldn't be where I'm at right
Mm-hmm.
now. So football was the only as football players we call it the game the girl. That's our girl. The
Mm-hmm.
game is we love her. When you love on the game loves you back. And reason why I say that is because football taught me how to be a husband. It taught me how to be a dad. It taught me how to be responsible because I wasn't a responsible young man. I was doing terrible things in the street. All the way up into college, I was doing terrible things. And while I was in college, I was doing terrible things. I wasn't I, I wasn't right in the mind because I didn't have nobody like myself. Like, I didn't have a father to check me when I wanted to go do
Yeah.
stupid things like we can with our. Well, I don't know about your situation, how you grew up, but the way I grew up, I didn't have a father to tell me, "Hey, man, that's not what we doing." Yeah, we playing football, and had my mom focus. Like, look, this is what we're doing with him. This is football. This is what he chose. This is what we're going to do. We're going to push him and make sure he doesn't fall off that pedestal if he's good at it, which my son is. So that right there is where we say the sports is our
Mm-hmm.
life because the sports is what connected us. That was one of the main focal points. It wasn't just, oh, I was at the club, she was at the club, I seen somebody pretty, and then I got at her. Like, no, football is what brought us together. Because if I never played football, I never went to New Mexico. If I never went to New Mexico, I never would have met my
Mm-hmm.
wife. And that was a term. That was a term. And that time, I had already had a daughter. I was already with somebody at the time. But when I found my wife, that's when I knew. You know, as a man, you know, when you look at her, you be like, yeah, I'm gonna deal with her attitude for a while. I think this is the
Uh-huh.
one.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but like she knows that I'm a sports fanatic. This is how I
Mm-hmm.
function. I function through sports. Everything, every problem, I deal with it like if it's a sports situation. But when it comes to me and her, she'll be like, "Hey, we need to go out." Bet I will shut everything down. I'm a Capricorn. I know how to prioritize everything. So what I do is like I shut the whole world down. All right, this is what we doing. But then when we sit there, our minds are so intertwined with each other. We'll both be like, "Now let's save some money. Let's do this." And we do simple things. Go for a drive. And we was gonna go for a drive last week and leave the kids. Fuck them kids. That's what we gonna fuck them kids. Leave them kids behind along with the goddamn dogs. Let's me and you. Let's go chill. Sometimes it's her venting to me about everything, and I don't say nothing. I sit there and listen because it's not my
Mm-hmm.
place. I think this is where me and her grown. We don't take it personal when we're venting about what's bothering us. And I think that's a major thing in a marriage and a relationship is understanding what's venting and what's personal. Just because she's venting about the house being messed up, the dogs are shitting outside, the kids don't want to listen, this, that, she's not pointing it at me. What she's doing is letting that steam out, and I have to hear with a selective ear. I have to listen with a selective ear and make sure that I'm picking up the right points. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Instead of, oh, oh, I'm slacking. I'm slacking. No, I'm not slacking. She's noticing things that my eyes ain't noticing, and it goes vice versa. We do the same thing. That's why stay up late at night laughing, just joking. For our anniversary, we stayed up until about 3 in the morning, and all I did was ask her, "Hey, you remember what you was wearing when we met? Do you remember the first song, or do you remember this? Do you remember
Uh-huh.
that?" And our kids are listening to us laugh like if we just met each other.
What would you say to any of the young guys listening who didn't grow up with a father figure because it happens in multiple households?
Yes.
And because I'm a firm believer that women cannot raise boys to become men. I don't care what anybody says,
No.
it just ain't the thing. Never has, never will happen. What would you tell them to figure out how to do that? Because oftentimes you see young men and boys grow up without a father figure. They weren't taught how to be, take on a masculine role. They weren't taught how to be a leader, provider, any of these things. What would what would you tell them to do? Because those guys grow up and they usually end up being really insecure. They're really fucking petty. I often say like they act like a fucking woman, not in a negative way to put down women, but you know what I mean. It's like, why are you fucking acting like that,
Emotions.
dude? Yeah,
Emotions.
and so what would you say? What would you say? Like, how do you start from step one to get to step 10 to where it's like, okay, because you, it sounds like you went on that journey.
My journey was topsy turvy. I spent a lot of time behind the bars. So the first thing I would tell them is fall in love with yourself. Find out who you are
Hmm.
before you start trying to show direction. Find direction. Find yourself. Find out who you are. Learn who you are. Once you learn who you are, then this next step is what do you want your life to be? It does not matter if you have a child, if you're with somebody. None of that shit matters. It starts with number one. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to love on ourselves. So how do you find out what's a man or not? Well, you got to do research. Let's break down the lifestyle. Okay, let's think of the lifestyle because every man has a what did I used to say? Every man has a straw that breaks the camel's back. No matter what it is, that straw is always different. Sometimes it's jail, sometimes it's prison, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's a woman, sometimes it's money. You know, let's think back. Are you tired of living the life that you are? Are you tired of choosing women that ain't good for you, going in and out of relationship? It's abusive, it's toxic. Are you tired of that yet? And if you're tired of it, let's recollect of how you were acting and let's fix that. Before we move forward, we got to fix our back steps. This is the process that I took. Once I went to the pen and had to sit down, I could have been like everybody else. Oh, this ain't nothing. This is cool. I'm in here. You know, I'll be back or whatever. I wasn't on that. I was on some. Where did I go wrong at? Where did I mess up at? And I already had children in the world, so I was like, I just want to be a father. That's all I want to do is I just want to be a father. I want to be something that I never had.
Hmm.
Because every boy comes up. When you're coming up as a man without a father, the first thing you are is, who am I? What am I supposed to be like? These are one of the reasons why that insecurity kicks. Because the mom, when they grow up as a single mother, no matter what, the woman always will bash the father if he's not dead. If he's
Hmm.
alive
Yep.
and there's a quorum between the two, she will always make the person the bad person. And I was blessed. I'm gonna tell you this, Jess. I was blessed with a woman that didn't do that. Every time I asked her about my father, she would tell me, "You will see. You will see." She never stopped me from trying to see him. My dad was on some fuck shit. I would call him. He'd tell me to come get me. Never show up. We got to fix our childhood traumas before we can move on. This is what makes a man. It's when you're comfortable with yourself, when you know you've been hurt for so long, you decided that ain't nobody else gonna hurt you ever again. Then you can take the next step. Because now is what do you want your life to be when you're 50? If you're a young 20-year-old, what do you want your life to be when you're 30 and 40 years old? It's time to take those steps. What kind of woman do you want? What kind of child do you want? If you don't have children in the world, what kind of child do you want? Because I have three younger brothers. My brother up under me is on his second baby mama, but he's been with his wife for about 6 or 7 years now. I got a younger brother up under him who married his high school sweetheart, and they've been married and have two children now. And we all grew up in the same fashion, but I watched my mom take different steps with us. I was the oldest. She had me when she was 16. So basically, we grew up
Yep.
together. She had she had my brother at 19, my younger brother at 19. We kind of grew up together. So she had my two younger brothers when she was in her 30s, going into her 40s. I always tell young men, love yourself first. Find out who you are. If you're religious, if you're spiritual, whatever it is, because I've been in rehabs where I knew a man, there was a speaker that came in there and said he's been 20, well, back then it was like 15. So now he's probably like 30, 35 years sober. But at the time, he was like 15 years sober. And the only thing that would keep him sober was a doorknob because he spent most of his adolescent life and adult life in prison or in jail. You know, you don't have doorknobs. He said as long as he could touch a doorknob, that saved him from going out and making bad mistakes and bad
Mm.
choices. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if I tell them, find something that's bigger than you that you can worship, that you can put your beliefs in, that you can put your all your anxiety and all your problems into, whatever it is, do that. Find that peace. Because every man is at war with himself in search of
Hmm.
peace. Find that peace. For me, what helped me was I found groups. Again, like I said, I've been had a crazy background. So this thing called White Bison is what helped me. I went to this rehab out in New Mexico called Yucca Lodge, and they did this White Bison thing. For me, my problem was I had a lot of anger because my childhood up, I didn't know how to deal with my childhood problems as an adult, and my mom had died, so that's when it just shot off, and I was just away from the world. I didn't care, right? When I finally went in here, there was this older dude, and they had us sit in a group. It was like a therapy group. We sit in there, we exchange how we feel or whatnot. There was a event that he told me in order to release that, I had to write a letter to my mom as if she was still alive. I had to write it to her. Everything. Had to get it all out, right? The next day when we showed up for group, I was the first one. He said, all right, there was two chairs. It's in a circle, and there's two chairs, right? In the middle of the circle. And he was like, you got to sit right there. And I want you to read that letter as if your mom is sitting in that chair facing you. And I had to read it to her. And then he's like, now you got to answer those questions. You know your mama. How would she answer that?
Hmm.
How would she answer that letter? And then we went outside and burnt it and let the ashes go to the heavens. Bro, that was the biggest weight off my shoulders. And that's when I started living for myself. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better father. I just want to be a better person. So then I started surrounding myself around people. When I went back to California, I started hanging out with it sounds crazy, but if you know LA, you know it's segregated. You know we're
Yeah. Yeah.
segregated down there. When I went back, I started hanging around with white dads, with white guys. Because the black guys that I knew, they weren't fathers, they weren't husbands. They was out running the streets and doing their thing. So I started observing. How does he talk to his wife? How does he talk to his son? How does that circle look? I started observing and said, that's what I want. I want to go on camping trips. I want to take my son fishing. I want to go teach my son how to shoot. I want to take my wife and my kids to this, to that, to this. I want to do this family thing. I want to do that. So I started changing. I forgave myself first. Fuck everybody. I forgave myself first. And that was the key to opening up the door to where I'm at now. I'm at peace. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I tell the young man, bro, find your peace, homie. And for me, my peace is football. After all that turmoil, when I went back home, I went back and started coaching. Coached in 2004. I'm going on what, 20 years now, coaching football from youth, high school, college, because I sat down there and I was true to myself. I want to be a different person. I want to be a better person. And the man upstairs listens. The universe
Hmm.
listens to us. He listens. They hear it. So when you speak it, it'll come. However, it ain't gonna be perfect. You gotta work for it. It's gonna be bumps. And that's one thing I tell the young men is don't get discouraged when these bumps come in your way, because those are your tests. Those bumps, those obstacles you gotta jump through, those are the tests to see if you really want that peace.
Yeah.
When you pass those tests, your peace will come. And then it will spew out into the people you hang around with. And then that's how you find your wife. And that's how you build your children through the peace. Because a man is the head of the family.
Yep.
When somebody break in that house, your wife ain't running to the fucking door. Nope, she's gonna wake your ass up, nigga, and you gotta go and fight this dude that just broke into your
Hmm.
house. Now, when you were saying like, no, women can raise young boys, but they can't raise them to be full-fledged men in certain aspects because women still react off of emotions. They can buck, they can bark and say, nah, I don't agree with that. It's scientifically proven. Once you have a PMS, you are emotional. So therefore your emotions change once you have a menstrual cycle. When you have a menstrual cycle, you're going into all kind of emotions. Men don't have that. We have to control our emotions. We can have emotions, but we got to control them because nobody ain't gonna come give us a hug. Women will always get a hug from somebody, male or female. Time a female goes through something, somebody's gonna give her a
Hmm.
hug. Ain't nobody giving a man a hug. They're gonna tell us, suck it up and figure it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love this step one of finding out who you are because, again, I was lucky. I don't know why, but when I grew up, I didn't care what anyone else did or what anyone else thought. I don't know how I got that gift. I don't. If I could sell it, I'd be a billionaire. But ask anyone who knew me in high school. I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to smoke. College didn't have to drink or smoke to fit in because I didn't care what anyone else was doing. I was worried only about me. But everybody, you see them try to fit in, and it's like, why would you want to fit in? Why wouldn't you just be you? Whoever it is, truly be you. Because if we think about the concept of like telling our kids to like fit in, you just are telling them to just be like everyone else, whatever group that is they choose. And if they don't choose a good group, you don't want them fitting in with them people. I don't want them.
Nope.
No offense. I don't want them fitting in with the fucking white trash weirdo kids who hang out in the back and they got all their fingernails painted. They're all goth and fucking wearing makeup and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want them around the fucking gangbangers. The I went to a high school where all our girls got pregnant and all our kids, we were good at sports freshman, sophomore year. And then guess what? Everyone had to drop out. They stopped going to
Mm-hmm.
school. I went to the quote unquote inner city school in the area that I live. It ain't inner city compared to when you go to a big city like New Jersey or Los Angeles. You go to these, but for where I live, it was that, and we were studs at stuff freshman, sophomore year, and then everyone dropped out. All the girls were having kids, and it's like, fucking why? It's because we were so worried about what everyone
Nope.
else thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what is
Do
cool?
you think that that comes? Do you think that that comes from? Because if you look at it, a lot of people who grow up with single parenting are the ones, I say about good 60-40. Okay. So 60% are the ones that know how to strive through things because they've been with single parents. They understand the struggle,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the ones that don't understand the struggle, they end up being drugged out, being a gang member, just the lower side of life. But I feel like when these kids come from two parent homes sometimes and the parents aren't from the streets, that's where it comes from. Because the kids are trying to find an identity and it doesn't match with their society or what they deal with at school. I work at a middle school, so I always tell the kids, this is your world. You're creating your own world. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
your parents think that they're raising, it's not it. You create your own world here, whether it's good or bad. That's on you, you know. But uh, that's just society. Society has been like that for years. It's who's in and who's out.
Yeah, yeah,
Go back and watch our old movies. Go watch Grease. Grease is the same way.
yeah. Yep.
Who's the cool ones? Who's not?
You had what's that one
If you're
movie
not cool and you don't wear this,
with the greasers and the
say
jocks?
that again.
That one famous old
Yeah.
movie with the greasers and the jocks. It's just, and the one dude
Mm-hmm.
could have been with the
That's
jocks, but decided to
yep.
stay with the greasers. You know what I'm talking about. Uh,
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
with I don't know. I haven't thought a lot about the difference between the single parent household who has the kid who goes through struggles and then the dual parent household who goes through struggles because whether it's the dual or the single, if they don't have their parents involved, even if they're physically there, but they're not actually actively involved, like
Right.
you're actively involved at least from what I've seen in your older son, because you're not only his father, you're his mentor and coach when it comes on this journey that he's going to. So you're actively involved. You know who all his fucking friends are. You know who all the kids on his team are. But the parent who maybe that he has his mom and dad at home, they work full time, come home, he goes to practice. They don't go to his practices. Maybe they don't even go to his games because they're fucking late, lazy. They don't care. That kid can still be that kid who
Mm-hmm.
ends up hanging out with the wrong kids. Next thing you know, he's not playing sports. Next thing you
Mm-hmm.
know, he's dabbling in drugs. He's getting in trouble, drops out of school, fucking in prison, and then he's dead. Even though he had a two parent household.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
one of my best friends growing up, single mom, from he was mixed family, he was black and Mexican, athlete of a fucking kid. Mom was doing exactly what you were saying, fucking working her ass off, trying to be the provider, yelling at his ass, and he had 4.0 all through school. Went and played ball in college, but there was a lot of things that he was soft because he didn't have a father. He was just it's the whole
Right.
time it's like, hey, you're a stud ass football player, but how come outside the field you're a pussy? Like just through and through. And his whole identity when he ended up having a child, and I've told this to him face. So if he listens, he knows that I've said all this to his face. It's like his whole identity was trying to be the best father he could be by overprotecting his child because he didn't have the father to be there. So he was like, I got to do extra. And it's like, you're actually enabling your kid, dude. You're
Yeah.
not allowing your
Yeah.
kid to even trip and fall on their own. So there is a level of, we want something so bad that where pendulum swings too much and we're actually going to have a negative impact on that our child to try and make up for something versus kind of like how you were saying, who am I, where do I want to be, and where do I want to go? And you made an important point. What do I want my kid to grow up to be like? Because we program our children. You know, we have a huge impact on our children. Yes, if they're in traditional school, there's a lot that has to do with raising your kid in a traditional school because they're going to be raised
Hmm.
by their peers at the same time. But we do have a huge impact, regardless
Yeah.
of what we think. And I love the thought of how you were saying, how do you want your kids to be? How do you want your kids to be? Start thinking about that now.
Yeah. For me, it was knowing who my father was. See, that's the thing with your friend is that growing up as a single mom, he didn't dig in the crates to find out why moms was by herself. Because a lot of us boys who are raised by a single mom, we only hear one side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
We only hear one side of the story. We hear what comes out of her mouth. If he doesn't come around, we only hear what comes out of her
Yep.
mouth. Then when we become a man, older man, we start to understand how women work. Then we think back to our mom like, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was you. And you're hiding something from me. Or maybe it was him and he's just an asshole and he's a shitbag.
Mm-hmm.
You won't know until you start coming up. For Isaiah, like as an instant for your friend, I grew up bad, bro. I grew up in a domestic violent home. I used to watch my mom get her ass whooped like a dude, a shotgun in her mouth when my brother was 6. So that made me 9 or 3 years apart. I told myself, you won't. If I have a child that never grow up to go through what I had to go through, the peer thing that you were talking about. That's why I became a gang member because I was soft. I was a pussy. I used to get my ass beat the fuck up because all the gang members were friends and I was just the only square ass kid that my mom was sending to school with the cowboy button up. You know the silver little fucking buttons that's on the goddamn cowboy
Uh-huh.
shirts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have to go to school with those and some corduroys in Compton, on the east side of Compton in the 90s and the early 80s, bro. So they used to just beat my ass up. When she moved us out to Colorado, and I went and I experienced that environment and bounced back. When I bounced back and I seen the same kids, we were still friends, but they was a little bit older gang members, and they was like, "Bro, you hang around us, you might as well be from the hood." I didn't know how to fight. They were teaching me how to fight, so I said, "Fuck it, I'll be from the hood." That was my father in the wrong way. That's what made me become a gang member. Was I didn't know how to fight. They picked on me because they knew I wasn't from the gang,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I started gang banging, they were doing things that I knew was against my mom. So the day when I got shot, that's when I found out that the gangs don't love you like that.
No.
And that's what separated me. When I got popped, it was a graze. It grazed me, but still everybody left. And I didn't see nobody for about 2 weeks. I had to lie to my mom and told her I fell off a fence. I got into a fight with the essays and got cut on my side. I had to lie to my mom and said I jumped through a window in a car. None of the homies from the hood had my back. So when my mom found out, she shook me to Paramount, and I went from being a gang member to race riots in the early '90s. In Paramount, blacks and Mexicans, we were fighting every day,
Mm-hmm.
going through all that. That's what made me choose football. When I finally got a chance to play football, I was like, I love this because I had so much anger. You can hit people and not get hurt and not get in trouble for it. Fell in love with it, and I knew that that was going to get me out the hood. That was going to get me out of Compton. And as I carried through that path, when me and my wife we had separated because we were very toxic. When we separated and I went back to California, that's when I decided I wanted to be a father because I was in the rap game. I was doing my rap thing, and I was. How about this? I was 2 cars from pulling up to P Diddy's mansion. That's how close I was. I walked away from it, wanted to be a dad. My son came to me. He said he wanted to come live with me. He came down for a summer. I was coaching football. This is how the conversation was. We went to Artesia High School, and it's a big old fence. So when he came in there, he was about 5 years old. I said, "Hey man, you see this fence? Go kill yourself. Go do your thing. Don't break nothing that I gotta fix, and don't hurt yourself because I can't explain that to your mama." I started coaching the kids, and we had kids from his age all the way up to eighth grade. He's seen the other kids like him, so he gets down there and starts stretching, and he does his thing. We go into our off season. We doing our thing. The season is over, so you know, Jesse. Once that off season is over, the next thing is putting them things on. It's time to get click clacking. So I told him, I was like, "Hey man, what you want to do, bro? It's time for football season is coming up, man. What you want to do? You can go back with your mama." He was like, "Nah, daddy, I want to play football." He didn't say I want to live with you. He said I want to play football.
Mm-hmm.
So when he made that decision, that's when I, as a father, was like, okay, you chose it. You got bit by the bug. So I'm gonna make sure that you stay true to your words that you want to play football. So he came back. My son lived with me from 6. We moved up here 3 years ago, and he's 13 now, 14. So about 8 years he was living with me. That's why we so tight. He lived in Watts with me. So I showed him the hood. I showed him what it looked like. I showed him what hoes look like. I showed him what prostitutes look like. I showed him what the homeless look like. I showed him what druggies look like. I showed him what the buses look like, how to get on the bus, how to protect yourself, understand when danger's around. Because you will not grow up like me. I'm gonna make sure that I am your guideline. So every time you come through something, I'm there for you. Because I know what you're gonna go through as a man,
Mm-hmm.
as a black man at that. So all the gang thing, I told him when we came out here, let me find out you from a gang, homie. I'm gonna pull up to your hood, bro, and I'm fading up everybody. And I'm gonna cord you off the hood. I guarantee ain't nobody out here bigger than me, bro. If you want to talk this gang thing, that's happening. And he's like, nah, dad, I'm a football player. I had to give him something to focus in, something bigger than him. Football was bigger than both of us. Something I can't control, something I can't dictate, something he has to work hard for and to keep him in line. So when I'm not around, football will be his father. Football will be that guideline.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I fed it into him. And that's why we're cool to this day because I tell him, bro, listen, football's a hustle. Just like a woman's body is her hustle, God blessed you with the gift to jump out the gym, catch anything, and toughness. Use it to your advantage. Use it as a hustle. Your girlfriend isn't out here. Just like me. I met my wife, I met your mama in college. Go to college, bro. Go see what Ole Miss looks like. Go see what Indiana looks like. Go see what Florida looks like. Go meet a woman from another part of this country, not the West Coast. Use it. That's your passport. That's why sports is so important in our house.
I mean, I think sports is probably the second most important thing to young men outside of just mom and dad because it can take you so fucking far. And I
Yeah.
truly believe it can take anybody so far because I'm sure you've seen this. I know I've seen this. I know there's guys out there more talented than Kobe, more talented than Deion Sanders, more talented than um, so many other people, but they didn't put in the work. They didn't have the mindset. There, so there's a lot of variables when it comes to being pro. We all look at someone and go, "Well, not everyone can be LeBron. Not everybody can be LeBron." But guess what? How many other guys are on there who are a sixth man who work their fucking ass off, had the mentality to be that sixth guy? I mean, I'd fucking take being the sixth guy. I'm sure anybody else coming from nowhere would be the sixth guy, or getting the opportunity to be fucking drafted in the seventh round like Tom Brady, and starter gets hurt, and guess what? It's your fucking shot. The, my and my po-
You looking
Yeah,
at
my
one.
point is that we like to look at the thing that 1%, less than 1% make it, but we never look at the variables of who those 1% are, because they're not the 1% who were the best at age 6 or 10 or even 16 and 18. They're the 1% who finally made it.
Uh, me growing up in Compton, Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Raiders, Paramount High School, played against him. That was my his grandma and my grandma were best friends when we were coming up. He didn't even play youth football. He didn't play until he got to high school. Mike Fletcher is another one. Went to Paramount High School with Antonio Pierce. I went to Dominguez High School. I was with Tayshaun Prince. You know who Tayshaun Prince is? The basketball player from the Pistons that retired. He
Okay,
was a tall lefty, light skinned
I
dude.
think I know who you're talking about. He on that
Yeah,
2000 like 9 team that
yeah,
beat the Lakers.
yeah. With Rip Hamilton and
Yeah.
all them. With Rip Hamilton on them. Yeah, that's why you don't hear about his brother, and Tommy Prince, Thomas Prince. Tommy Prince was the next Jordan when we was in high school. You wouldn't if Tommy wouldn't have done what he did at Arizona State. You'd have never heard about Tayshaun. Tayshaun would have been his little brother would have been his little brother, but he went to Arizona State and messed it off. That's why you hear about Tayshaun because Tayshaun did it right. When you talk about the variables, we knew this when we were younger because I grew up in the mecca of athletes. So everybody been around everybody: Antonio, Tommy, Tayshaun, Kenny, Paul Pierce, Baron Davis. All of us is in the hood. We knew the when we young at Isaiah's age, we be like, bro, see you in the league because we know what we
Hmm.
got. You know what I'm saying? We know what we got, and as we go through, it's because it's choices. That's what makes it. It's the choices. When I was at Compton College, I trained. When I was at Compton College, Chad Ochocinco was at Santa Monica. Steve Smith was at Santa Monica. TJ Husmanjada was at Cerritos College. I would work in the offseason with all of them. TJ in the league, Ocho in the league, Steve in the league. They made right choices. I made the wrong choice. And I was supposed to be there with them. That's why this is why you see certain kids that are raised with two parents. One of the parents has been there, so now they know the
Hmm.
guidelines. Like, what's my man's name? Number 14 from Detroit, Amaron Ross. His daddy is from Compton. They just stayed out in San Bernardino, but he would come down to Compton because his daddy grew up in the hood and knew the wrongs and the rights, right? I grew up in the hood, but I didn't have nobody telling me, hey, you need to do this, not that. I didn't have nobody. I was in the streets. Tayshawn, Tommy had both parents, but Tayshawn watched Tommy. Tommy wanted to be from the hood. Tayshawn watched him make those choices and was like, I'm not going to do that. That's why he went to Kentucky in the league, Hall of Famer, NBA championship. Same thing with Manchild, Shea Cotton. His documentary is on Netflix. He from the hood too. We knew he was going to the league, never made it because again, single parent. He made the wrong choices, trusting the wrong people. Even though he had his brother, still made the wrong choice. Kenny Bruner, 1995, graduates. Allen Iverson leaves Georgetown to go to the league, so they go and get Kenny Bruner from my high school to go to Georgetown. Again, single parent gets out there, lights is too big, makes the wrong choice. Now he's on the and one tapes. To make it, has to have somebody in that circle that's lived that life on the wrong side of the fence to be like, hey, that's not what you need to do. I know what it looks like. I know what the trouble looks like. I know what that troubled female, what she's supposed to look like. That's not the girl you need to mess with.
Hmm.
That's not the kids you need to be hanging out with. I know because in my former life, in my past life, I seen that. I was that. I made those choices. Trust me, that's not the choice you need to make. Those are the kids that make it to the next level because they got somebody in that circle who's lived on the other side of the fence to tell them, hey, that's not the way it goes. Antonio Pierce had his grandma, and his grandma didn't take no shit. Trust me. She didn't take no shit at all. She was on his ass. She was on his mother's ass because his mother was not a great mother when we were younger. So when grandma passed, she was on daughter's ass so much she finally got back in Antonio's life. And look at him now. Grew up in the same area that I did. Had somebody in their lives to point them in the right direction. I didn't have that. So when it comes to Isaiah, that's why he's gonna make it as far as I think he can make it because I'm gonna tell him, I'm pointing him in the right directions. I'm shooting down all the obstacles that's coming his way,
Hmm.
and I'm giving him a heads up. Hey, that's not the way. That's not how you want to do it.
So then the kids out there who don't have a father figure, I've always believed that sports is a way to find one. How do
Hmm.
you? So I wanted to get your thoughts, kind of double down on that. Like, where does the father figure role come from if you don't have one in the household? It comes from sports, and how do you know that you got the right one?
Coach Ward, Coach Ward, father figure. When I was at Compton College, Jason Brown from Last Chance U is who recruited me to Compton College because my cousin Nate Turner played with him, who ended up going to the Chargers. So when I was looking for a school, Jason Brown linked me with Coach Ward. Coach Ward is a pastor down in Compton. Best friends with Freeway Ricky Ross, the real one, not the
Uh huh.
rapper. And he works with the police. He shows up to the crime scene for the police department. Coach Ward had a saying that Psalms 133, behold and how good and how pleasant it is to dwell within brethren within unity. He took a bunch of misfits and we went 6-4. That was a father figure to me. He showed me in my younger years, he's the one that showed me, oh, this is how you be a father. This is how you be a husband. But also I'm biting it. Do I gotta be godly and all that? I ain't all that. That's not me. But I want to be like that. I want to be a head coach one day. I want my family to come to the games and I kiss my wife after the game is over, win or lose. I want that.
Hmm.
How do I do that? He took me under the wing. That's why we got Coach Atkins at Salesian High School, uh, killing it. You know you have the right one when they hold you accountable and they love on you and don't turn their back. Coach Ward could have just said, you know what, I don't need you, because he had other athletes. But he seen a young man wanting the opportunity to get up out of there and change his life, and he gave it to me in the city of Compton, along with he did with Jason Brown. If he didn't never had Jason Brown playing for him that year, Jason wouldn't have last chance you. Jason wouldn't be who he is right now. So, and Malik Henry is the same way. I've known Malik Henry since he was like 13. Coach Ward's been in that kid's life, and he has both parents. Malik has both parents. He has a father. Awesome dude. But Coach Ward was that grandpa, so to speak. Some people had dads, some people, and he was a grandpa. Coach Ward, my friend Emory Beckles, who went to Idaho State, he went to Idaho State and was up for the Heisman his freshman year in all purpose. And I just got to watch him experience graduating his son and sending him off to Portland State. And he's from Linwood, neighborhood Compton Crib. He would have never he had never got this opportunity if it wasn't for Coach Ward. Sometimes it's the coach, and sometimes it's just the sport. You kind of know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Sometimes it's the sport that shows you that gives you that father figure than the coach. Because the sport teaches you how to be responsible, how to be accountable from your teammates, how to be able to take criticism without getting hurt
Hmm.
personal. Because again, you're raised by a woman, you're known how to react off of emotions and not facts. Not for all women, but a lot. Coach Ward, I knew I was in the right hands because I went to Long Beach City College. I was at Cerritos College with TJ. He's the one that taught me how to run routes. I went to Long Beach City College. They didn't. It wasn't for me. Just I wasn't feeling it. And when I got to Compton College, bro, I swear to God, I was working at the Compton casino across the street from Compton College, bro. I walked across the street, went there, and was working out with Billy Chase, who ended up to went to Washington State. That Coach Ward was sending. When I caught that pass and JB called me to him and sent me there, it changed my life. Because if not, I don't ain't no telling where I'd be. It wouldn't be right. And I already had a daughter. That's the reason why he helped me. I was already a father. I wasn't a husband, I was a father. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I was doing my thing, even though I was living with my first one, but I was looking out for me and my daughter. Made some good choices, bad choices, but Coach Ward helped us out so much. And that's 2000. I went there in 2000, graduated in 2002 with a 385 GPA because of that man. He challenged me. He taught me. You know when you got a good one because you can feel it. It feels like it doesn't feel like it's your dad, but it feels like somebody cares about
Yeah.
you. Somebody gives a fuck about you outside of your mom.
So I got a question. You you mentioned that you and your wife have been together 21 years. In the beginning, it was you say it sounds like it was rough. You guys were both immature,
It was terrible.
broken people, and um, it's so easy to get a divorce nowadays. And I think, and
Hmm.
culturally, just in America, regardless of white, black, Mexican, any of that, just divorce is abundant. And there used to be a time, and in the '60s at least, Black America in the '60s had a lower divorce rate than white Americans and Mexican Americans. Lowest divorce rate of the three largest populations if you go by race. So
Hmm.
how do you fight through just getting a divorce or calling it quits because you've implied that your relationship has only gotten better. You guys have grown together. You guys have similar goals or at least are moving in a direction even if you have different individual goals, but as a household similar goals. It was rough. You guys probably could have just got divorced and never talked to each other again if you wanted. So how do we just get people from just fucking thrown in the towel to actually fighting for their marriage and making it better? Now, this doesn't apply if you're literally married to the wrong person and you made a mistake, but I'm talking about the general population where you got two good people and they might just not be healed. They might just be a little fucked up, or they're just they want the easy way out. Like, how do we just get people to fight for their marriage more and move forward and make it a better loving marriage?
All right. Well, for the first part of your question, me and my wife at the beginning, she was on meth. My wife was on meth for 14 years. So she started when we were together. I didn't know. That started the toxic because her her drug use, me not knowing, and then my anger mixing in oil and
Mm-hmm.
water. We separated several times. Again, like I said, I was when I went to the pen and came back. That's when I was on a different, but she wasn't, right? And when I went back to California, that's when I divided myself. Like, hey, I need to fix myself. And this is where I know that women always need direction. They always looking for direction from a man. No matter if she's or I'm an independent woman, you still want direction from a
Yeah, I
man.
agree.
You still, at the end of the day. So when she seen me leave to go back to California and seeing how I changed my life around, left the music alone, got back into football, started working in Hollywood, got a place to stay, it forced her to get her stuff. We were still in love. We
Mm-hmm.
still loved each other. But at that time when we were younger, I had to bounce because I couldn't be who I wanted to be, who I needed to be in that state, in the state of New Mexico. I couldn't do it. When I went back to California, I knew going back to California, I'm only here for a short time. I don't like California no more. It's not for us. It's time to bounce. When she seen me changing my life, and then my son came and lived with me, and she seen how I was raising him. Because again, remember what we was
Yep.
talking about single parent mom raising a boy. We have 4 daughters and 1 boy together. So me being in California by myself, he was growing. He was coming up with his sisters. She started noticing he was starting to be like his sisters, and her being an awesome woman the way she is, even through all that bullshit. She called me and was like, "No, you need to take your son." because he's starting to do these girly shits and he needs to be raised by a man. Bet. When she seen the kid that I was raising and we were doing this football thing, it made her get her shit together with my daughters. We still separated. We were separated 2011, 2012, and I just moved back up here in 2021. It's about 10 years separated. She doing her thing, I'm doing mine. But there was a connection. You understand? There was we knew that there because the way that we met, we knew that there was a connection that I always told her, even if we separated, I'm always with you. There's nobody that can ever take your spot in my heart. And she hers the same way. But again, we were both damaged people trying to fix ourselves. She decided in 2018, because we were always talk on the phone, 2018, she decided, I need to get up out of Silver City. Yes, you do. We're still best friends. Even if she had a boyfriend, I'm still your best friend. And ain't nothing that nigga can do for you that I can't from a distance. Ain't no man that's better than me for you. And she know that. On my side, I never had a woman. I can never replace her. That was not where my mind was. My mind was because a lot of people that go for divorce, they just want to go get some extra
Hmm.
pussy or some extra dick. That's it. That's the reason why they want to throw it away so fast. We knew when she moved up here, we tried to put it back together. And I told her, I can't fuck with you until you love yourself enough. You gotta love yourself enough. I gotta see you love yourself. Like how you see me love myself, I would choose me over all y'all in an instant. Because I love myself so much. I had to. So that way I can be comfortable loving yours. I gotta fill my cup up with my love so I can overflow it with everybody else's. It cannot our cups cannot be empty. Because then we're pouring everybody else's love. Where's ours? Then that's when that cup cracks. Because we have everybody else's love in that cup but ours. So we decided, we talked in 2021. I told her, I'm not coming up there for you. I'm not coming up there for that family. I'm coming up here to coach football because that's what I'm doing down here. But I want to put my family back together. But I'm coming up there to coach. I'm not coming up there to put the family together because then that means that I got to put myself to the side and then again balance people who I have no control over. We're not doing that. I love myself enough, and she's seen it. When a woman sees a man, back to our beginning of our conversation, when you love yourself enough, the right person comes to you. She was my dream girl. I had that dream in my head ever since I was a kid. Going off to play football outside the state, leave California, go play football, meet my wife. You know, the story of every athlete,
Hmm.
every football player. You want to leave your hometown, go to a college, no matter where it's at, meet a woman who's not from your hometown, marry her, have kids, and yada 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 yada. So it was always my dream. When we talked about it and we started putting it together, we knew, hey, we're still two freshly damaged people just fixing ourselves. So let's work on this. Let's give our children something me and you didn't have. Two healthy, two awesome parents in a healthy relationship. All that other bullshit, that shit's dead. Everything else is dead. We're not young no more. That shit's dead. We have to now start figuring out what do we want for our children. We already know. We already lived the other life with two separate ass parents, so that tore our children apart. When we came back together, that's when we talked. We said, listen, this is it, homie. I ain't going nowhere. So if you don't like me, you don't like something I said, fuck you. Go to the room. Shut your ass up and stop talking to me. Vice versa. I'll shut up. I won't say nothing to you. We'll stay on silence until we feel we're comfortable enough to be calm enough to talk to each other. And then we'll talk. Other than that, I'm not leaving this house. I'm not repeating history. And neither are you. We have to show our children how to agree to disagree and still love each other, not take everything personal. That's the divorce thing. If you're so quick to, if both parties are so quick, I want a divorce and really go through it, you guys didn't really love each other anyway. You was just doing it because you wanted to fit in.
Hmm.
You wanted to be cool. If you really, and see, me and my wife, we don't believe in all that ring shit. We don't believe in all that no, because that's America shit. My wife is Hispanic. We are still spiritual people. So we are just like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, be together forever. But we don't have to make this all a ring thing. And I think that's what helps us stay away from all that divorce stuff. because now it's not a legal problem that we have to go to court for. No, this is two people who really love each other, and we're gonna make this work on our own.
Mhm.
Because before man was even civilized, there was never a ring. There was never a ring. It was either jumping the broom, breaking the glass, or whatever cultural thing was in that region of the country. So we don't believe in America. Let's go down to the court. Let's have this big ass wedding when we go broke and shit, and then try to get the gifts back in the reception, and then bust those back to the store because we broke. We won't do all that shit. We won't do all that. So the way we fight divorce, I love myself. You love yourself. Tell me what's wrong, and I won't take it personal. And if it's something I did, let me know it's something I did. Don't belittle me, but tell me what I did was wrong. So that way I can sit back, recollect on what it went, and then I can explain you why I said it or why I did that. And then we can eat. And if you don't like the way I said it, or if you don't like that my reply or her reply, cool. Let's kill this conversation because obviously we got to agree to disagree. We're not gonna see eye to eye on this. Let's leave that alone. It's not worth it because these children are gonna grow up to get married, and they gotta understand that you don't always have to agree with each other, but you gotta be able to disagree with each other to agree with each other and still love each other. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because there's couples where the man is not the man. It's the wife that's the
Yeah.
man.
Too
And
many.
he'll follow her and oh baby and all that and vice versa. And vice versa. You know what I mean? When you stay away from divorce is because you got two people who are strong enough on their own to understand, like, hey, I need you. You need me. Let's do this thing. Tribal. It's almost like tribal.
Yeah. So in short, it sounds like if as a man, if you are leading by example, she will eventually follow. I tell people, I tell this all the time to men. We are our wife's biggest problem, but we are the solution. And if we are leading by
Mm-hmm.
example, she will follow. So my wife, I'm a I'm a man of faith, like through and through. Me and God, it's every morning, every night, and throughout the day, me and God are talking. My wife grew up very atheist. She used to tell me, don't expect to change me. And I was like, I'm not. However, many years later, we have some children. We're going to a Bible study group. And this guy who I respect very much, he goes, the only way she's ever going to change is if you lead and you're the one who changes. And I was like,
Yep.
that fucking sounds about right. And if you were to ask her today, she would say that she's a believer. But so much of it had to do with me changing these habits that I had, me changing the wandering eye that I would have, me me changing as a person, and her genuinely being able to tell like he's fucking different. He's not the same douchebag I met at the lake when we were in our early 20s. He's not that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think for everything, I mean, like I feel like your example and my example are those ones that people are like, no, she'll never change. She'll never change. And it's like, no, 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 we fucking changed. Therefore, she changed.
Yeah. 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 Shit. My wife used to have bath myths and all kind of other shit up and she liked the black side of life. And when we started making our transition, I would tell her, like, look, bro, you keeping all that dark shit in your fucking life, nigga, is the reason why shit going down the way it's going down. You gotta leave that shit alone. You won't see I me spending my time in timeout for that long. I didn't read the Bible like everybody else. I used to sit back and watch them. And the first time they get in trouble, bro, the first thing they do is run to the Bible and think that, oh, I'm all godly, I'm all Jesus and this. And then get out the gates and do the same exact goddamn thing and be right back up in
Hmm.
there. I chose a different way. Let me read this book to see what's really in here. I'm not reading it for religion. I'm not reading to save it. I need to read it for information. What's going on in this book? Bro, I am Job. I am Jeremiah. I resonate with a lot of things in that book. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I will never Bible thump it to anybody. My truth is my truth and what I believe in. But however, every chance I get, me and him is chopping it up, but I chop it up to him in a way that I can get the message back. A lot of people, Reason why they can't talk to guys because they're trying to talk to him in a way of which he doesn't understand. Talk to him like he's one of your homies. Talk to him like if he was sitting right there.
Yeah.
That way you get the message back and you're not sitting there like, oh, every time I pray, it don't happen. Because you're not using the right verbiage. You're not using the right code. Talk to him in the language that you know, and he'll talk back to you so you can get the right message. I would not be here chopping it up with you on this podcast or even in Reno if I turned my back and not talked to him ever since 2000 and 2009,
Hmm.
2007, sorry. 2007, I sat there and talked with him, but I also did my research. I like knowledge. So I read the Holy Quran. I've read the Bible. I've read the High Tower. And all I did was, all y'all doing is talking about the same thing, just in a different language. Okay, how about that? Let me get out of this. I don't want to be like society. Let me throw that to the side. Let me have this conversation with him myself and see what it is. And it's been A1 ever since. He's blessed me. He's given me everything that I wanted. Got my wife back. Got my kids up under the same roof. We got cars sitting out here. We got jobs when we never had jobs before. We got money in the bank that we never had. We got things because, again, I changed, therefore she changed, therefore we changed.
So let's talk about your football plans for the future. I mean, what's the you're coaching right now, high school,
Yeah.
and you have a Pop Warner team. So
Yes.
what's the end goal? Where do you want to be in 5 years, and then what's the end goal with coaching football?
My end goal, my end goal is to get back up to the college level. I coached JUCO ball before I moved out here, and I loved it. Um, I'm still trying to get used to the north. The
Hmm.
northern Nevada is a culture shock for me.
Hmm.
It's totally different than what I'm used to. But in five, I put Isaiah his senior year, shaking his hand and telling him you did it when he's on his way, signing his scholarship to the USC. Because a lot of our family members went to USC. Uh, Born Beast Academy was created my from my bro who went to USC. So we have a lot of ties with USC. So in 5 years, we're gonna have one big ass party down at the GSR in one of them
Hmm.
ballrooms. And when he signed his scholarship to USC, that's what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna stay out here or not, or if I'm gonna stay coaching high school football and really take because I've been offered college jobs in other states, but I'm living my family right now. My
Yeah.
family comes
Yeah.
first. So before I venture off into my thing, nah, I got to make sure that he's up out of here.
Yep.
So in 5 years, that's the end goal is to get him up out of here. And if it ain't USC, just get him up out of Reno. Go somewhere else because he does have the talent to go play. With my coaching, trying to hit a state title in three. In about 3 years, I want a state title. I'm try to put Worcester up on the map and make a state title run. I'm not really tripping on it being a head coach out here. This ain't my neighborhood. Uh, I'm way different than what people used to. So I'm just trying to get my son up out of here, and then I'll take my call to the next level and go. That's my wife. Me and my wife, we already talked about it too. Like I said, we are on the same vision. We just see it differently, but we on the same vision. She's always saying, "When are you gonna take one of those jobs and get us up out of here?" When Isaiah graduate from high school and he's going to college,
What
then I'll take my opportunity. Hey. Yeah. And then build Born Beast Academy up big. So when it's time for me to leave, I can pass it on. I can leave it in the controls of, the coaches that's on my board that want to stay here and live in the city and leave it to them and create another chapter somewhere else, I guess. Just build the
so
company.
how does the I don't think we've ever really talked in depth about Born Beast. How does that work here? Like what do you who do you guys play? What do you guys do?
Okay, Born Beast Academy is an off-season program,
Hmm.
training program. So what we do is we do 7-on-7 and 5v5 tournaments, but we don't do locals. We leave. If you notice, including your son, the kids that come through us play differently than the kids that don't play come through us is because we challenge them. We have high standards. So when we leave from here and go play other teams, we play top notch teams. We don't go and just try to play anybody. We go play somebody. So that way these kids can come back to this area and compete at a higher level. And I've noticed, I've seen that. Every kid, I got parents sending me the videos of their kids, and they're like, "Oh, my son is running through kids. Thank you for the off-season trainings." Because not only do we train them physically, we train them mentally. The mental toughness is key, uh, and the travel. You know, traveling, getting away from the parents. Because with Born Beast, the parents don't get to travel with us. We take the coaches and the kids. So we give them college experience, 9, 10-year-old kids leaving from Reno, Nevada and going down to LA, staying in a big old house because we don't stay in hotels. We stay in Airbnbs, go stay in this house with a pool. And we go and uh, we go down there and we teach them social skills. We don't introduce nobody. What we do is when all the kids get together, we force them to go introduce themselves. And that's a mandatory. So when we come out on the field out here, and a lot of kids, we that's what I love about it, is that we don't do one certain area. We got every kid from each corner of the city. You may not know each other, but you know each other
Hmm.
now. So I separate the kids from the parents because the parents want to coddle. Oh, it's new. I want to stay around my son. No. You get to go right back where a parent's supposed to go, on the other side of the fence, and let your son be a kid. Go introduce yourself. Go say what's up. And you better know his name by the end of practice. So when we go out on these tournaments, we type group. They meet the LA kids if the LA chapter comes, and they go in there and they get to be kids without their parents. They get to be real kids. Hey, this house is yours. Just don't tear it up. Don't fuck it up. Other than that, go be a kid. Want to play video games? Bye. You want to go run around the backyard? Bye. You want to go swimming? Go ahead. As long as you know how to swim. If you don't know how to swim, let me know. We cook for them. We make them hang with each other. We go do our tournaments, and we don't even care about the tournaments. Fuck them tournaments. If you want a trophy, we'll go buy that shit. Other than that, we get back to the house. We either going bowling, we go to the beach. When we was in LA, we went bowling, went to the beach, went to a Clippers game, went to Hollywood, went to the walk down the Hollywood Stars Walk of Fame. Things that these kids don't get a chance to. Of what we was talking about earlier. Football can take you places a regular life
Hmm.
can. So with Born Beast, that's what we do.
Do you guys play like
That's what we do.
Sacramento teams or just go to LA?
Nah, yeah, we went out there last year, but the SAC kids don't have enough competition for us. When we go play like the OG Ducks. We go play kids. We go play teams that when you go on under the radar, their 7-on-7 teams are on that radar. We go play them, whether we lose or not. We don't care about that. We teach the kids to go compete.
Yeah.
Next year we have. I think we're going to play in the Dallas Stadium with Dream All America because I do that too with the Dream All American showcase series. So we're gonna go there. Then we have Texas, the other Texas tournament, and Florida and LA. And we might go to Idaho. Might take them to Idaho and do that tournament too.
Do you
So we take these kids around.
do you have just one age group that you do this with?
Oh no, I got every age group from 5 all the way up to high school.
Oh wow.
We got kids. The youngest I think we got is 6. And the oldest we got a sophomore in high school right now, and a couple of juniors.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to let me know when that stuff starts. I mean, Chance is obsessed with football right now.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah, because I'm expecting nephew to pull up, man. I'm
Yeah.
expecting nephew to pull up, and that's the thing that I love with Kenny Visor and all them, because when I came out here, I didn't have no clients. It was just me and Isaiah, so we would bounce back to LA and go do tournaments with the LA chapter, and then last year doing the All Stars, I met Larry. And Larry asked me what I was doing, and then I took him to Vegas. When we went down to Vegas, I took him down there for the experience, and he was hooked from that point on. He was like, "Man, we need to get this up there." So building that, I was reluctant to team up with cats because I don't want to take on nobody else's persona. If you are a person who don't handle your business, I don't want to be tied into it. So I held back for a long time when Kenny was like, "Man, come down to the BLCFA," and all the other coaches. I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." I had to sit back and
Hmm.
see. And when I finally got to meet Kenny, man, I love that brother. He is on point. So the BLCFA and the Born Beast Academy, and then all day athletics. What we're doing is we're creating a different atmosphere in the North so our kids can go and compete and we can get some recruiters up here.
Mhm.
I'm tired of, I've been up here for 3 years. I'm tired of all these recruiters and everybody saying, oh, you got to go to Bishop Manoa to get out of here. No, you don't. Or shut up. Or you got to go to, or it's like Reed to get up out of here. You got to go to certain schools in the North to get up out of here. No, you don't. No, you don't. Where did Kyle Van Noy go? McQueen, right?
Yeah.
I just watched him sack our quarterback like 3 times today. You ain't gotta go to the you ain't gotta go to a private school to get up out of here.
No, I agree. Well, Junior, this was fucking cool, man.
Yeah, man.
No, I'm glad to
Yeah,
have you
bro.
on.
Thank you for having me on,
Yeah,
fam.
I'll send you the
Yeah.
link and everything when it's all live.